120/208 volt, 100 amp, 3-wire, single-phase outdoor panels and disconnect switches are indeed available. While they might not be as commonly stocked as their 3-phase counterparts, they are a viable option for specific electrical installations. Understanding the nuances of single-phase versus 3-phase systems is crucial when selecting the appropriate equipment. Single-phase power, in its simplest form, consists of 2 wires carrying alternating current, one being the hot or energized conductor and the other being the neutral conductor, with a potential difference between them. In a 120/208 volt single-phase system, the 120 volts refers to the voltage between the hot conductor and the neutral conductor. The 208 volts represents the voltage between 2 hot conductors in a split-phase configuration derived from a 3-phase source. This configuration allows for both 120 volt and 208 volt circuits within the same panel. A 3-wire single-phase system typically consists of 2 hot wires, a neutral wire, and a ground wire. The voltage between the 2 hot wires is 208 volts, while the voltage between each hot wire and the neutral wire is 120 volts. This setup allows for powering both 120 volt and 208 volt appliances and equipment. Now let's consider 3-phase power. 3-phase power utilizes 3 conductors, each carrying an alternating current that is 120 electrical degrees out of phase with the other 2. This configuration provides a smoother and more efficient power delivery compared to single-phase systems, particularly for high-power applications. In a 120/208 volt 3-phase system, the Y designation indicates that the system is a Y configuration. In a Y configuration, the voltage between any 2 hot conductors is 208 volts, and the voltage between any hot conductor and the neutral conductor is 120 volts. This allows for the connection of both 120 volt and 208 volt loads. The reason 3-phase panels are more common often lies in their suitability for commercial and industrial applications where higher power demands and balanced loads are essential. 3-phase systems offer advantages such as increased power capacity, reduced conductor size for the same power delivery, and smoother operation of motors and other inductive loads. However, for residential applications and smaller commercial establishments, single-phase systems are often sufficient and more cost-effective. When selecting an outdoor panel, several factors must be taken into account. Firstly, the amperage rating of the panel must be adequate to handle the anticipated load. A 100 amp panel, for instance, is designed to safely handle a maximum continuous load of 80 amps, in accordance with the 80% rule outlined in the National Electrical Code (NEC). This rule prevents overloading the panel and its components, reducing the risk of overheating and potential fire hazards. Secondly, the panel must be rated for outdoor use. Outdoor panels are typically enclosed in weather-resistant housings to protect the internal components from the elements such as rain, snow, and sunlight. These enclosures are designed to prevent water ingress and corrosion, ensuring the long-term reliability and safety of the electrical system. Thirdly, the panel must comply with all applicable codes and standards. The NEC provides comprehensive guidelines for the installation and maintenance of electrical systems, and it is essential to adhere to these guidelines to ensure safety and compliance. The disconnect switch is another critical component of an electrical system. Its primary function is to provide a means of safely disconnecting the power supply to the panel or other equipment. This is essential for maintenance, repairs, and emergency situations. Disconnect switches are available in various types and sizes depending on the application. They can be fused or non-fused, and they are rated for specific voltage and amperage levels. When selecting a disconnect switch, it is important to choose one that is compatible with the panel and the electrical system. The disconnect switch should be rated for the same voltage and amperage as the panel, and it should be suitable for outdoor use if it is located in an outdoor environment. Furthermore, the disconnect switch should be readily accessible and clearly labeled, so that it can be easily located and operated in an emergency. The NEC provides specific requirements for the location and accessibility of disconnect switches. In addition to the panel and the disconnect switch, other components may be required for a complete electrical installation. These may include circuit breakers, wiring, conduits, and grounding electrodes. Circuit breakers are protective devices that are designed to automatically interrupt the flow of current in the event of an overload or short circuit. They are essential for preventing damage to equipment and reducing the risk of fire. Wiring is used to connect the various components of the electrical system. The type and size of wiring must be appropriate for the voltage and amperage of the circuit. Conduits are used to protect wiring from physical damage and environmental factors. They are typically made of metal or plastic and are available in various sizes and types. Grounding electrodes are used to provide a path for fault current to return to the source. This helps to protect people from electric shock and prevent damage to equipment. The NEC provides specific requirements for grounding electrodes, including the type, size, and location. Now, let's delve deeper into the specifications and considerations for selecting a 120/208 volt, 100 amp, 3-wire, single-phase outdoor panel and disconnect switch. Firstly, it is essential to verify that the panel and disconnect switch are listed by a recognized testing laboratory, such as Underwriters Laboratories, UL, or Intertek, et al. This listing indicates that the equipment has been tested and meets the applicable safety standards. Secondly, the panel should be equipped with sufficient space for the installation of circuit breakers to accommodate the anticipated load. The number of circuit breaker spaces required will depend on the number of circuits needed to power the various appliances and equipment in a building. Thirdly, the panel should be equipped with a main breaker or main lugs. A main breaker provides overcurrent protection for the entire panel, while main lugs are used to connect the panel to the service entrance conductors. Fourthly, the panel should be equipped with a grounding busbar. The grounding busbar is used to connect the grounding conductors from the various circuits to the grounding electrode system. Fifthly, the panel should be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions and the NEC. The manufacturer's instructions provide specific guidance on the installation and operation of the panel, and it is essential to follow these instructions carefully. The NEC provides comprehensive guidelines for the installation and maintenance of electrical systems, and it is essential to adhere to these guidelines to ensure safety and compliance. When selecting a disconnect switch, it is important to consider the following factors. Firstly, the disconnect switch should be rated for the same voltage and amperage as the panel. Secondly, the disconnect switch should be suitable for outdoor use if it is located in an outdoor environment. Thirdly, the disconnect switch should be readily accessible and clearly labeled. Fourthly, the disconnect switch should be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions and the NEC. In addition to the technical specifications, it is also important to consider the cost and availability of the equipment. Single-phase panels and disconnect switches may be more expensive and less readily available than three-phase equipment. It is therefore advisable to shop around and compare prices from different suppliers before making a purchase. Furthermore, it is important to ensure that the equipment is in stock and available for delivery when needed. When installing electrical equipment, it is essential to follow all safety precautions. Electricity can be dangerous, and it is important to take steps to protect yourself from electric shock. Firstly, always disconnect the power supply before working on any electrical equipment. Secondly, use insulated tools and equipment. Thirdly, wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as gloves and safety glasses. Fourthly, never work on electrical equipment in wet or damp conditions. Fifthly, if you are not comfortable working on electrical equipment, hire a qualified electrician. The NEC provides detailed guidelines for electrical safety. It is essential to follow these guidelines to protect yourself and others from electric shock. Finally, remember that electrical codes and regulations can vary depending on the location. It is therefore important to check with the local authorities to ensure that you are complying with all applicable codes and regulations. In summary, 120/208 volt, 100 amp, 3-wire single-phase outdoor panels and disconnect switches are available, although they may not be as common as three-phase equipment. When selecting and installing electrical equipment, it is important to consider the technical specifications, cost, availability, safety precautions, and applicable codes and regulations. By following these guidelines, you can ensure a safe and reliable electrical system. Also, remember that the information provided is based on the 2008 NEC. Always refer to the latest edition of the NEC and local codes for the most up-to-date requirements. If you're unsure about any aspect of electrical work, it's always best to consult a qualified electrician. They can help you select the right equipment and ensure that it is installed safely and correctly. They can also provide guidance on electrical safety and compliance. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous, and it's important to take all necessary precautions to protect yourself and others. By following these guidelines, you can ensure a safe and reliable electrical system for your home or business. When working with electrical systems, it's crucial to understand the specific requirements and regulations outlined in the National Electrical Code. The NEC provides detailed information on wiring methods, overcurrent protection, grounding, and other aspects of electrical installations. Familiarizing yourself with the NEC is essential for ensuring safety and compliance. It is also important to consider the environmental conditions when selecting electrical equipment. Outdoor panels and disconnect switches must be suitable for the specific climate in which they will be installed. For example, in areas with high humidity or extreme temperatures, it is important to select equipment that is designed to withstand these conditions. Furthermore, it is important to consider the potential for corrosion when selecting electrical equipment for outdoor use. Salt air, chemicals, and other corrosive substances can damage electrical equipment over time. It is therefore important to select equipment that is made of corrosion-resistant materials. Another important consideration is the accessibility of the electrical equipment. Panels and disconnect switches should be located in areas that are easily accessible for maintenance and repairs. They should also be protected from physical damage. In addition to the technical aspects of electrical installations, it is also important to consider the aesthetic aspects. Electrical equipment should be installed in a way that is visually appealing and does not detract from the overall appearance of the building. Finally, it is important to remember that electrical work is not a do-it-yourself project. If you are not a qualified electrician, it is best to hire a professional to perform any electrical work. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to take all necessary precautions to protect yourself and others. The choice between single-phase and three-phase power depends on the specific application. Single-phase power is typically used for residential and light commercial applications, while three-phase power is used for industrial and heavy commercial applications. The advantages of three-phase power include increased power capacity, reduced conductor size, and smoother operation of motors. However, three-phase power is more complex and expensive to install than single-phase power. When selecting a panel and disconnect switch, it is important to consider the load requirements of the equipment that will be connected to the system. The panel and disconnect switch must be rated for the maximum current that the equipment will draw. It is also important to consider the voltage requirements of the equipment. The panel and disconnect switch must be rated for the voltage of the system. In addition to the load and voltage requirements, it is also important to consider the environmental conditions. The panel and disconnect switch must be suitable for the environment in which they will be installed. For example, if the equipment will be installed outdoors, it must be rated for outdoor use. Outdoor rated equipment is designed to withstand the elements such as rain, snow, and sunlight. It is also important to consider the potential for corrosion. Salt air and other corrosive substances can damage electrical equipment over time. It is therefore important to select equipment that is made of corrosion-resistant materials. When installing electrical equipment, it is important to follow all applicable codes and standards. The National Electrical Code, NEC, provides detailed guidelines for the installation of electrical equipment. It is also important to follow the manufacturer's instructions. The manufacturer's instructions provide specific guidance on the installation and operation of the equipment. Finally, it is important to remember that electrical work is not a do-it-yourself project. If you are not a qualified electrician, it is best to hire a professional to perform any electrical work. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to take all necessary precautions to protect yourself and others. By following these guidelines, you can ensure a safe and reliable electrical system for your home or business.